Hello and welcome to episode 18 of our Timberborn 1.0 full release playthrough with the Folktales faction on the Down the Plughole map, cycle 26, day 5. We're continuing construction of the dam here, trying to rebuild it to its former glory before the bombs went off, and we're also in the process of getting this little bad water retention, diversion, whatever thing set up. But it's proven to be a very, very long project. And today, I think it's about time we handle housing. So what I'm going to do is, as the explosions are still going off, I'm going to deprioritize this so that we can actually have a chance of, doing literally anything else. And I'm also going to need to monitor a bunch of this and make some modifications. So let's come over here because, we put a bunch of effort into putting in a new industrial area. We've done some automation. Some things we probably do still want to tweak just a little bit on here. But we've been dealing with the albatross that is housing for quite some time, and it is beyond time for us to fix that, or at least start the process. So, since this is a Folktales playthrough, I don't think they're going to have like a giant apartment complex or anything like the Iron Teeth would. So what I'd like to do is maybe start putting in some intentionally designed, smaller, but still, decent-sized villages or communities or whatever based around some of the well-being items. We've done similar things with other Folktale playthroughs before. But one thing that's been calling to me, and you guys in the comments as well, is this nice terraced land right here that we already have access to. It's reasonably close to everything else we have going on, and I think this would be a good opportunity for us to take advantage of the hillside and put some neat stuff in here. We might still end up, putting some land in and changing things around. But I think this is going to be pretty cool. So, why don't we go ahead, mark all of these trees for cutting. They are oaks, so, it is kind of still worth getting that taken care of. I'm going to put in a lumberjack flag. Probably just need one, in all honesty, to do all of these. At least the ones that I want to do, I say as I suddenly find out I definitely need more than one. That's fine. We'll get these guys going. I know we don't have a lot of extra beavers, but that is the way it goes. We'll get this cleared out, and we'll talk a little bit more about what we're going to do in the future when we get there. But as you guys have noticed, food has been slowly going down. It's not, I don't really think a huge problem just yet, but we do need to also do some stuff with this. That could be a future episode thing. I think maybe one major project per episode is probably the best way to go about this, especially while I'm kind of pre-recording these, so I can finally listen to all of you who said, take some time off, go take a vacation. Okay, well, I'm going to. But I want to make sure that we keep up with everything while I'm gone so the YouTube algorithm does not yeet me into the sun. So, I'm going to let them keep going with that. We do have a couple more things to check on. I did see a comment. Someone asked, hey, why didn't you just have them do the stairs all the way down here in the river because then they get the wet fur bonus? And I did reply to that person, but for everybody else's benefit, remember, we're going to have the raft mod at some point in the next couple of weeks. Well, at least a few weeks from now. And I wanted to make sure the river was open for that so we didn't have to redo anything later. So that's why that was the thing. We are going to redo this. Don't worry. Don't worry. We have plenty of other stuff to take care of. But for right now, it seems like the issue is probably related to wheat, as a couple of you have guessed, because we're kind of low on bread. We do have cattail flour, but you can't make bread from cattail flour, at least not in this game. So the easiest thing for us to do is going to be to add in some wheat in range of this farmhouse. We probably don't need a ton because, this is all the wheat we already have, and we still, despite only having this much wheat, we still have 400-something bread. So I'm just going to add that. I'm going to add that. These guys probably could use a second farmhouse, but I don't know that it's going to be that big of a deal. Could also be, part of the problem that the fastest growing crops are the ones that are closest to the farmhouse, so the stuff like the potatoes aren't being harvested immediately. Could also be because of that. Or it could be because, we don't have any storage for potatoes, because some genius never built more than a small one. Well, like I said, food fixing is mostly going to be another episode, but if we can have the ability to do something about this now, we obviously should. Alright. Yeah, they are taking their time, but we are getting it done. Now, so let's talk a little bit more about this while they work on the housing. Folktales housing, the big ones at least, have the doorway on the second floor, which in some ways is kind of cool, some ways is a little annoying, depending on how you choose to build. I usually play with the Iron Teeth anyway, so I always, the second floor always trips me up. But I think we can use this to our advantage because we have the terraced here. We can put in, along this edge here, we can put in some doubles and triples and actually have the path on this upper level and then utilize the back of this as kind of a scenic backdrop of some sorts for putting in some stuff. Like we can go in with some shrubs, we can go in with some hedges, and, you know, actually make it look kind of nice. That would be, well, I don't know, I think it would be cool at least. And it's not something I normally do, so I do try when we do the Folktales playthroughs to kind of break the mold of what I normally build. And I think that would be a fun thing for us. So, for that to work, we really need on each level about a minimum of 4 blocks here. And obviously here we have 5, here we have 3, here we have 2, we have 3, we have 3, we have 2. So, we're going to have to make some decisions about how we want this to go. And also what kind of well-being we want to have here. We have not built any agoras, we have not built any mud pits, any dance halls, any carousels, or that kind of stuff. And some of these things are pretty big. The dance hall is a 5x5, but it does not have to be on the ground, to my knowledge. So that can basically go anywhere. We could even put it on top of housing if you want. But I know I wouldn't want to live underneath a dance hall, you know, just personal preference. Maybe you enjoy the sound of stomping feet at all hours of the night, but I don't think that's for me, so I'm not going to subject the beavers to that. The mud pit is a really cool Folktales building, because it doesn't require power like the Iron Teeth version. The mud bath or whatever. So we can basically put this anywhere as long as they're going to have access to dirt. And I think that would be a good thing to kind of put in with some of these lodges. But again, we have to let them get these trees out of here. I'm going to make a couple of adjustments to how this land is laid out. And I think I can come up with some kind of interesting stuff. Let's also not forget, we have Lidos that we could use to our advantage. We can kind of fence them in with dirt, so to speak, and also kind of irrigate some of these areas. But we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Let's get this on triple speed, go through the night here. Yes, we do need more explosives factories. I am very aware. We just have to get to a point where I can actually continue making those things. Remember, we have a lot of projects going on concurrently, and among them is getting this tunnel cleared out, which they're almost done. They just need to be able to get to the middle, and once they do, we can put power through this, which is going to be very, very helpful for us expanding things. And to tie directly into what we're doing here, if there's power coming through this, then guess what? We could put a carousel here, because it's going to have power. And housing, obviously, transmits power. So, why not? Why not just do that? So, we'll see. I've got a couple of ideas. And no, I'm not going to build an enormous master beaver housing complex or whatever here. But there's going to be something, and we'll put a couple in different places. Make use of the monuments and all that fun stuff. Now, I do think the Earth Recultivator does belong kind of here in the middle once we actually get around to building that. And that would be, if we put it right about here, it would be in range of most of this housing we're trying to build in this area. We can also build more than one of these. You know, there's no rule that says you can only do one. We're only limited by our imagination and the available space on the map. Which, this is a very big map, so we don't need to worry about that too much at all. Now, let's check something else, because I also saw comments that we had not automated everything correctly, so I do need to make sure that these are all, I think the books factory. Okay, so that's automated to memory 1. Did I just not rename all this? I did not. Okay, well this is supposed to be punch cards factory on. So maybe that's what people were saying. But I know there's more stuff that we haven't quite gotten to. Maybe it's the wood workshops. Is this one? I've not automated because I just want it on at all times because we need to be making a bunch of this. And we probably need more than more of these than we have access to. So, don't worry. I'm aware. We're going to work on it. But, you know, it is always a good idea to check and make sure that stuff is set up correctly. But I believe that was probably the issue, was I just hadn't renamed that. Alright, have they finished? Oh, good, they're working on it. So this is another one of those things, you know, you guys love so much to just watch me click over and over and over again. That's probably going to get time-lapsed when we get around to it. But we can build from both sides, which means we need power to come up through here, which means it needs to come up from here, and there's all sorts of, you know, all sorts of stuff with that. We've got a lot of injured beavers because, well, obviously, the thorns do that. They've got a very high chance of injury, and that's just a hazard of the job. We'll get there when we get there. We're working on it. Making some good progress here. So, if we want to incorporate a Lido into this, then what we'll need to do is identify kind of the center of what this housing complex is going to look like, and then work accordingly around it. Because we have a hillside here, I don't know that this is a great place to put it. So instead, what I am probably going to propose is that we instead, what I'm going to propose instead, there you go, great command of the English language there. Probably just put something like this down here because the river's already here. But I also kind of want to raise this at least one more level in the future. So we'll see. But the easy thing to do right now is to just kind of put it here. Maybe since we have dirt, I'll just have them pop this in. And so that they have access to it, even if it's not the best thing ever. Oh, that wouldn't fit too anyway. Okay, well that's fine. I'll just put one here. That'll be okay. The 2x2 ugly. I know you guys love that. Let's take this corner out. Anyway, that's going to give them something else to do. Remember, we're working toward it slowly. But now, to get something in here that I think is actually going to be worthwhile, why don't we go with triple lodges? Because, well, the doorway goes in the center of those. If I put a triple lodge here, I put a triple lodge here, I've got 6 space in the middle. I might actually want 7. So what I'm going to do, and I know we don't have a lot of dynamite, so just bear with me here. I'm going to do this way because I want to put something in the middle and I want there to be separation. We've got the Agora and we've got the dance hall. So if I put a dance hall right here, but there's a barrier between that and the housing, then there's probably not that much of a reason for any beavers to be upset about noise. Now, is there? Now, you could maybe argue yes, and you'd probably be correct. But still, you know, little things here and there that make a difference. And we're also, you know, just kind of experimenting with this anyway. So if I put in at the corner, not the lanterns, if I put a shrub at the corner, we get the benefit for the housing that's next to it. And then that would go there. I'm not going to have a shrub or hedge, whatever, around the backside. But I am going to do probably this. Get that set up here. Extend our terrain. That gives us 5 deep here. That's, again, exactly what we were looking for. And then we have the entrance to this on the 2nd floor. Go ahead and just research that. I think that is probably about as good as we're going to get for the time being. Remember, we can always change stuff if we don't like how it looks. That's always allowed. But I've got this here. I did say I was going to maybe put in some hedges around the back side of these things. They do merge very nicely. So if we did that, we could also have this set to right about here. And then we have room in front of this to put some other stuff. Now, what would we want to put in here? You might be wondering. Well, we have options. We can put a medium warehouse in. That's always an option for us to have more food storage or something else over here. If we have a warehouse, we can put a rooftop terrace above it. Or, since it's already here, we can do one of these numbers. And, you know, I don't think a couple of beavers sitting in folding chairs and enjoying, you know, just chatting is going to be as disruptive as having a literal dance hall on top of what you're doing. We'll see. We're probably not going to, you know, 100% keep all of this anyway. We're just experimenting, seeing what fits. what might not necessarily fit that great and going from there. But I am very invested in trying to do something interesting. So I'm going to put 2 sets of stairs right here. Underneath this, we have an opportunity to put in a warehouse, and we can just build on top of that. This, I think, would make the most sense to be something like a book storage. And then, yes, we do have that there. Is this the most efficient path to lay out? No, but it does have some sort of visual interest. And then above the entrance to here, I know we get the D20 of merriment, or whatever. I called it a dodecahedron once, and someone said, hey, that's actually wrong, and I don't know enough about geometry to refute that claim, so we'll just assume they were correct. We can do our little 1x1 roofing thing here as well, but I'm trying to remember if there's anything interesting. No, that's just the Folktales logo. Nobody cares about that. So we'll put that there. It'll be a little bit of a double whammy for beavers coming in here, get that little bonus. This is ready for kabooming, so we will kaboom it. We'll put the triple lodge there. I do need to maybe keep a little bit of a better eye on how the population is growing or not growing, respectively. So I will get rid of that. Try to just grow this responsibly if we can. Get some beavers in there. I think we can safely start construction of this dance hall once they get the rest of these hedges finished in place. But again, what I was trying to do here, I think if I want to have this come straight from this way, then that's going to make more sense. If I did, in fact, want to put in some storage here, I would probably... do I really want to use the dynamite? Oh, I can always make more. Who cares? I'm going to blast that, and I'm going to blast that, because what I'm going to do here... And I hope this makes sense. I hope this is something that you guys can... appreciate. Let me just give them a path to connect this, because I want to make sure all of this gets put in place. Alright, we got one more thing that needs to go boom, and I don't want to blow up any beavers, any more than I already have. Assuming I have, I actually forgot whether that's happened or not. So we'll see. We will see what happens. Just gotta let these guys finish. Okay, K for kaboom. Ooh, that was almost a close one. Let's make this storage here, and this storage here. And I know I put little tiny books there. I feel like that's probably okay for books. But we should maybe do some food over here. And you know what we don't have? So we don't have any storage. We don't have any maple pastries being made. Why is that? I've got all the materials for it. Oh, that's probably because we don't have wheat. Yeah, I've got 1,200 storage for maple pastries, but I don't like that area. I'm going to redo it. Is there anything that I have less than 1,200 storage? Oh, that's grilled spatterdock. Grilled chestnuts. Well, we'll call this a grill zone. There you go. Store your grilled items here. So, what this is going to do, as I continue working, I am going to probably modify some of this still. Where is my... There it is. I'm going to put my hedges there. I still want to put rooftop terraces in here, but I need to figure out how to get up there and have it not be a complete disaster. Now, remember, this is not something that's going to be created with, you know, hyper efficiency in mind. So some of these stairway placements might make you say, what in the world are you smoking? And I assure you I don't. But sometimes I just make weird choices here. See, I do want... Tell you what. We have the opportunity here to just kind of branch off of this. Or, because we already know... Come on, lag. We already know we have to have that there, so why don't we... Okay, hold on. Let's hit pause here just for a moment, because I don't want to make any... I don't want to make anything a platform that I could otherwise put necessary storage underneath, but I don't know... I mean, this is the entrance here, so we know we can't block that, but before I get anywhere else... Maybe it just, you know, maybe it just doesn't matter. Maybe I'm overthinking it. That's probably what it is. 'Cause I did want this to be kind of an interesting design. If I have this going out to the outside, then that matches up with those stairs as we have them now. I don't know that I want to keep those stairs there. I'll just, you know what, I'll just do this way because this is the way that everything else has been done, and if we want to change it later, we can. More important thing for me is just having something finished that looks halfway decent. Because I know that's something people are clamoring for. We've got our little roofing things here. We can put some banners in if we wanted to also. That is always allowed. And, you know, we've got some beaver storage. We've got some entertainment. We got a little bit of food storage as well. And this is honestly not a terrible thing. Oh, I forgot to mark these for cutting. Let's take care of that before we get too comfortable. Can't reach those. I'm not going to develop this entire thing also. It's just, I want to put some things in some places. Let's check here. Yeah, okay, that works. We have a drought coming up, which honestly seems like that would be a decent time for me to, you know, as the kids say, lock in and try to do some work over here. So, I think what's going to happen now is I'm just going to time-lapse the construction of some of these power shafts, and eventually you're going to see the camera move over to the diversion area and try to take care of some of that. But I'll spare you the nonsense of me trying to do that while narrating what's going on and possibly making some mistakes, and I'll catch back up with you very shortly to show what the beavers got accomplished. Okay, so it's cycle 27, and I am just now realizing that I should have built some additional builders' huts. Because I got 21 or 22 beavers who aren't doing anything. At least I also remembered that I needed to put in stairs closer to one of these things. Oh boy, it's fine. It is what it is. They managed to get a lot more of this dynamite in place. They also put in more of these tunnels, which is something that did need to happen. So, you know, that's good. And now that I know I have so many extra beavers because of this fun stuff, we're in a better spot. I'm going to unpause this dance hall. I'm going to pause this. Because it really doesn't matter where these go. I'm just going to pop in a few places I can squeeze them. Make sure they are minimum priority workplaces. I already have 20 haulers. That should be fine. I think it's just going to make more sense to do one of these numbers. These aren't going to be here forever. Don't worry. It's just one of those things. You stick it where you can when you can. That's going to take care of 12 beavers, and I suppose if I already have 10 here and I have 10 here, that's probably fine. Do I have any other hauling posts? Or just those two? I think, yeah, okay, it's just those two. I'm tempted to say 20 should be good enough for where we are. But in that time lapse, you saw us also put in all of these power shafts, minus this one, I suppose. They never finished that. So that's good. I don't have to, you know, sit there and bore you guys with that. This over here kind of got put to the wayside because I wanted them to take care of everything else, but this will become much more important in a little bit as we continue getting access to this tunnel to get everything all connected. I do have these three paused right here, which gives me, well, it doesn't give me a new idea, but it reminded me that I had to talk about this. Okay, first of all, these beavers should not be coming over here. This absolutely should not be happening, because this is about to overflow again. I forgot. It's fine. Why don't you put a gate in? Look, I always forget. I always forget. But oh, you absolute buffoons better get out of here. You better get out of here, dude. You are... Come on, look. Why are you still coming down here? No. You're done. It's over. It's over. You don't have to go to work in a hurricane. You don't work for... I can't say a company name because I'm going to get sued, but you're dumb. You're actually stupid. Why are you doing this? I cut off your access. You should not be able to get there. Okay, well, you know, you made the choice that you made, and now you have to live with it. I digress. Hopefully nobody else is going to be doing that. What one of the commenters said that I do like as an idea is to not have to worry about bad water coming out when you eventually pop this tunnel. What you can actually do is tunnel to the side here and put in throttling valves, since we do have these platforms here that can be removed. You can put in throttling valves in front of all of this, and then as each throttling valve is put in place, you can build diagonally behind it and make it so that this protects everything. So if we just completely lock this down to 0.0 cubic meters per second, then I can actually unpause this. And I do think I want to do that. I just have to wait for the beavers to come in here and do what they need to do. So the way that we're going to accomplish this, probably the easiest, fastest way, and there's a couple different ways you could choose to do it. But let's hit pause. It helps me think. I can't explain why. Don't ask me. Because I eventually need all 3 of these to be in place here. And this also could be useful for things down the line. But it might actually, depending on how we want to do this, might actually be possible to only have to put in an additional 2 tunnel pieces to make this work. 3 wide is a lot harder than 2 wide. But I've done something kind of similar to this. So if I go ahead and say I want these here, I can just make this a 4 wide because honestly, who cares if this is slightly bigger? You can always fill it in. This is paused, obviously. But if I take this out, what I can do... I actually don't need that one. I can put this one in. I can build this tunnel from this spot while also building this throttling valve. Obviously, this has to be first. But that's going to help me there. If I wait... Okay, now I've confused myself. This made sense when I read it in the comments. Like, look, folks, I really do try. But I do have a hard time trying to remember stuff. I should be able to build this. That is still paused. I do have to make absolutely sure. Anyway, once this is built, I can build this. I'll just keep it simple, stupid. Build this, build this, build this, build this, build this. And then by that point, this should be accessible, and then I can build that. That's what I was trying to say. So, let's, I guess, commit to that. And just go for broke. Why not? Since I already have you here. I don't need this. Don't need this, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that's already... There we go. I should have treated planks. I do? Yeah, okay. Now, it would be a very cruel thing if this ended up leaking. I'm 99% sure that's not going to happen. But I do have to wait for them to get that finished. See, now this gets complicated as soon as I said, oh, this is going to be easy. And, you know, I actually got into it, and then that wasn't quite so much. We also have this area over here where this goes up. I'm still working on getting this in here. The beavers can build down all the way, but I do need them to have actual access to this on this physical floor so they can continue building there. This hasn't been finished. That's probably going to take a while. How are we looking here? Should have somebody coming in here to finish this. Maybe. Okay, so that's done. It is set to 0. I'm going to trust the process. And I guess you guys will see it live on camera if something goes wrong. It shouldn't, though. I'm going to trust the process and get them to actually detonate this. We should have the materials here in short order. And we should have that go off. Hopefully nothing terrible happens. Good. I'm not going to lie. I was still very concerned. But if I prioritize that, then we can just do one by one, and then I'm done with this area. Not have to worry about it. I honestly don't know why I put these in here as well. I'm probably going to end up filling those in. Yeah, they're taking their sweet time to get over here. I do want to continue working on this. Obviously, I cannot during a temperate cycle. That is a bad idea. I do know that. There's so many of these little things that have to get taken care of that's not really... Oh, that got built. Nice. Not really conducive to, necessarily making interesting videos. I do like this, though. I think this has been a pretty good thing. Maybe we can build some more of those. I'd ask you guys for your opinion, but no one is going to see this video until I've already recorded the next, like, 3 episodes. So we'll see. We'll see what I decide to do somewhere else. I know this is not, you know, not the perfect solution, but I used to want to add some other things. Since we're already here, I'll just put 2 contemplation spots right there. Maybe we can put an agora. That does have to go on the ground, by the way, the agora. Where are we? There we go. I figured this was going to be done by now. But I guess they take a long time to walk through all these tunnels, as one might expect. Okay, get that unpaused. Now we're picking up stuff off the ground. Wheat-wise, we do have extra wheat. This is... oh, okay, that's wheat flour. You know, I still don't see maple pastries, so unless I did a really stupid thing and didn't assign something to maple pastries, I think something is actually going wrong here. Well, while they work on that, let's inspect our disaster area. Cattail crackers, bread, maple pastries. We are waiting on... okay, of course, it's wheat flour. Now, the wheat flour production in this building is every hour we get 2 wheat flour. And every hour the bread consumes 1. And the maple pastries consumes, we'll say, 0.66 wheat flour. So it should actually be okay, assuming we have enough wheat, which it seems like we still don't. I know I said I was going to mess with this in a future video, but since these guys aren't really doing much in the meantime, might as well just, you know, plant some more wheat, let them chip away at it slowly. Alright, let's check on this here. We're not going to be doing too much more of this, don't worry. Okay, now that's done. I can get that tunnel exploded. These are still set to 0, and I will not be changing it for a while until this is actually, you know, set up, ready to go. But having this in place, knowing that that's good, I think that's worth doing. And then we can maybe do a couple other things and then move on to the next episode here. Okay, I'm going to fill this in just because, you know, I kind of feel like it needs to be filled in. I think they can still build this from the other side, but I'm just going to have them. Bring in the dirt as soon as they decide to show up with it. And then go from there. I should not have rotated this one this way, but they're probably already on the way with the dirt, so I'm not going to get rid of it. Looks like somebody's got something here. Is that dirt? It is. Okay, they got 2 pieces of dirt. That's fine. Come on down. You know, I know you're not going to finish it, because that's not how this goes, but just pop that in. That should be fine. This is connected to all of this mess, which, again, they haven't built everything. Oh, they totally have. All right. That path is supposed to be... well, there's your problem. You know, folks, I don't have an excuse for this, nor do I feel like I should, but I'm honestly not sure how this happened. So, what in the world did I... oh, because this is... okay, this was supposed to be a triple. I do tend sometimes to forget that. Well, you see how this texture changes when I go up one level? That's kind of weird. Regardless, that's not why we're here. That is... I hate it when I make dumb mistakes like that. Oh well. At least that's a less circuitous path. That's why I thought it was going to line up. I was kind of confused when it didn't. Anyway, let's get that picked up. That will allow them to, you know, actually start with this, which I know it's a very, very, very long process. But we'll get there. It'll be okay. At least we know this is... functionally, this is fine. I do want to check on the terrain. Yeah, okay. So we'll call that done for now. Finished, if you prefer proper English. Yeah, you know, this... I think this is okay. I still want to redo this. I don't want to just stop at this, though. Contaminated beaver. We do have antidote, right? Yes, okay, so that's fine. And they've got antidote. Alright, well, you know, that's fine. I'd hope to kind of avoid contaminated beavers, as one does, but I guess it is what it is. So I'm not gonna call this done permanently, but for our purposes right now, I think this is fine. Is it connected to the tube-ways? Is it connected to the zipline network? No, but it's fine. I don't really have a great spot for a station. I probably would, if I really felt strongly about it, put one right here. So it's closer to the housing, because that seems to be a little bit more important. And also, selfishly, looks a little bit better. So what I will do is I'm going to have them build this, and then I'll just reroute this to go through here. I know other stuff probably should get moved too, but I have what I have. that's just what we're working with here. And I think, yeah, this is the construction thing. I probably should have started this earlier, because now I'm going to have to wait till the next day. It's alright. So we'll get that done. I do want to put another housing thing in a similar kind of location. We already built this here, so I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to keep the beavers too far away from other stuff. And I also want it to be in a spot that's going to kind of make sense. So, let's see. Yeah, I kind of ran out of ideas here. Let's disconnect, and then we'll pop this into here, and then that to there. So that'll get these guys directly connected, even if it is kind of a really stupid pathing that I'm having them do. So that's okay. Down to 500 beavers, still have a bunch of extra beavers. That's okay. We don't have to have absolutely everyone employed at all times. However, for the amount of construction we're trying to do, I think it is a big mistake to not at least try to utilize as many as we can. You know, obviously without it turning into like a whole obsession about we have to utilize every beaver at every hour of every day. That's Iron Teeth stuff. We're in Folktales mode. Now, what I could also do in areas like this is I could have little outpost villages. And while that might look cool, I don't know that it's a great idea, because then you do have beavers going a pretty long way to work sometimes, and a long way to get a bunch of food. So, as this episode winds down, I do think we're going to be focusing soon, in one of the near future episodes, on putting in a more centralized, better-looking food processing, or at least food storage area that's going to be, I guess, kind of a zipline hub in and of itself. And after that's done, maybe we'll have a better understanding of how this is going to work. But I think this is a good spot to end this one. I do mostly like this new housing thing. Again, that is just a start. We're going to build more. But I would say let me know what you want to see next episode. But again, you're not going to see this until I've already recorded the next couple. So do feel free to give me your thoughts. I might change my mind and, read yours before you post it. So who knows? But I do always want to make sure I recognize the people who make these videos possible. You see the names on the screen. They subsidize the channel, so I don't have to do sponsors. I don't have to do brain rot TikTok edits or any of that stuff. Just have fun playing with beavers on the internet like it's supposed to be. And I get to talk to you wonderful people. Not every day, when I'm on a reduced schedule, but still regularly enough, and it greatly benefits me in my life, and I hope in some small way it does you as well. So whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you again soon for more beavers. Take care. Bye-bye.